Let me try and explain occult Satanism. For starters, let's just clear up the words. The Satan, it's a title. It's not a figure. It's a title. The Satan, the adversary, the tester. Just like in a court, you'd have a prosecutor and a defendant. You need two sides of the story to test it. So the Satan is the tester. Which means if you're face to face with Satan, it could be you as the one that's evil, you know. But the Satan gets his permission from God. In you know, the character Satan gets his permission from the character God in the book of books, the Bible. Okay. Occult, it means just hidden. Yeah, it's a hidden system. Occult Satanism. Satan gets permission from God to trick man within certain boundaries. And it seems those boundaries are, you know, light, like legislation, and words and symbols and signs and television, radio, propaganda, media, all of that. That's Satan's realm. Lucifer's realm. It's all kind of connected to the same principles. You know, I won't go into detail. I'll give you an example of how the world works. Occult Satanism is like Santa Claus. The occult Satanists don't believe in the Satan that you think they believe in. Their belief system is much simpler. Take Santa Claus and Christmas. If parents believed in Santa Claus, then Santa Claus would no longer exist. So if the parents believed in Santa Claus, they wouldn't need to buy presents and wrap them up and put them under the tree and tell the story to the children, because themselves would be convinced that Santa Claus is going to come down the chimney, and so after 1 or 2 years the parents would also stop believing in Santa Claus and it would disappear. But because the parents do not believe in Santa Claus, they keep that belief going. Now a child would be stupid to think that an adult believed in Santa Claus. Well, obviously the adult builds that, so goes along with that and says, oh, I believe in Santa Claus, we all know Santa Claus exists. When in actual fact none of the adults do, obviously, because otherwise it wouldn't work. You see, so the parents keep Santa Claus alive for the children, but the parents don't believe in Santa Claus. Right, okay, so the occult Satanism don't believe in an entity called Satan in that way, but they keep the belief going and they let you think that they believe in that. They'll pretend they're going off to do some kind of like occult ritual. They'll do anything they can to make you scared, to make you put on that red lens, you know, to make you see the world red, so that you can start seeing evil. And it's only when you take that red lenses off and see the world, you know, like with that new perspective, that you can maybe see that it's a trick. It's Satan's trick. You know, Satan's just a big trickster. But if you read the Bible, you would know that. We just get second-hand stories. That's why everyone rejects the Bible or just talks rubbish about it. Sorry to be so blunt, but, you know, if you want to fight with Satan, you're going to have to read the Bible. If you believe in Satan, then you obviously believe in God at the same time. You know, if you're going to get, like, if you're going to go one way, then it's contradiction if you don't look at the other side. And if you just look with the red lens, you won't see what else is there. You know, to presume that all deception is evil is a big, you know, misunderstanding, and it can't be one. This system is so well put together. You know, to me, actually, now I see it for what it is. I find it quite glorious, and I think a lot of people are not going to like that. I find this system is so well put together that it's managed to turn everybody against themselves. Brilliant. Brilliant. The only one you ignore is yourself. And the fact of the matter is that the true answer is uncommunicable. Some things in life are just uncommunicable, like sex. You can't just talk about it, you have to do it to feel it. You're falling in love, you have to do it to feel it. It's like, unfortunately, the mind will try and make sense of these things and warp you. Try and get involved in your sex life. Your mind will try and get involved in your love life. Your mind will try and get involved in everything you do. But it isn't competent enough to feel. So the mind needs putting back in its place. It's a tool, a device that's put at the top of your head, like a computer, to make pretty logical decisions, and it does a very good job of it. But it doesn't run your life. But that's what's happening here, is because we're confronting all of these symbols and signs and all of this mental stuff that we're getting put on. We think that it's a job for the mind. If, reading, it's a bit unfair, it's a bit cryptic, but in the Bible it says, Jesus' final law, sort of thing. Love God with all thy heart, might and soul. Well, actually, in the King James translation, it says heart, mind and soul. And I'm seeing a big correlation, a big pattern in this. The fact that mind and might and spirit are getting confused. Spirit isn't in the mind. Spirit isn't in the mind, And that's where things have got confused, in the language and everything. But in the King James Version, it knows that because we've got into this mental state, that there's no point in saying might anymore, because the power is now been transferred into this mental realm, into this dream world, into this satanistic kind of occult game that we're playing. And it is horrible, it does cause suffering. But I can guarantee that the jurisdiction that Satan has got, you can win hands down if you use your right hand. So that's what I talk about, Dexter and Sinister, is that, you can look at this, like take that, the one Arbeit macht frei, work makes free. Everybody's looking at that like thinking, oh yeah, that's like it's terrible or whatever. Of course it is, it's absolutely terrible, Arbeit macht frei. But it depends who you're working for. And it depends what you call freedom. It's up to you, you see. Every single time it's up to you. You're the one left. Doesn't matter how many people out there are looking at that sign and scoffing at it, Arbeit macht frei. It's maybe simply just a sign. It's just a set of words. And if you want to actually even just reinterpret it, you've got the way. You've got the dexterity. You've got the determination in your right hand. But obviously, if we're going to be solely looking through the red lens, revealing what we're seeing through the red lens, eventually we have a collective consciousness of anger. And then it gets harder and harder to turn that round to the point where we say, okay, we need to all take them red lenses off now and get that like negative green glow about life to maybe see if there's something that it don't fit. That we've just simply been tricked by big illusions most of the time. That there is evil and death in the world, but even at the nicest of parties, people get injured and die. It's not trying to say that everything in life's fake, it's just trying to come back to some kind of dexterity, rather than seeing every single thing as sinister. We need to be able to discern between words on a piece of paper and reality. If I shout my head off at you and throw words at you and stuff, it's not going to hurt you at the end of the day. But if I was able to throw a real knife or a cup or a shoe at you, it would create a problem. But in this society we live in, words create more of a trouble than anything else. Especially to the reader, And so really, my life has just become, easy in one way, because I realised the nature of the state and the system and the government and why it's fucked and how to approach it as an individual, But on the second hand, trying to get everybody to take their red lenses off for a minute and to admit that they haven't read the Bible, that they might have read it 10 times, but they didn't read it with the eyes. You know, have you ever read a book when you was a child and read it when you was an adult and realised something else? You know, after you've stopped believing in Father Christmas, but realise that he exists because we give him spirit, if you can understand that notion and then reread the Bible in a different context, but not, you know, when I say read the Bible, it's like read the whole book. No, just read one page. Read that one page until you can start to understand it. And if you don't feel that, you know, if there's nothing on there that relates to the world outside as it is today and now, then find another page or put the book down. It's not necessary for you to read. But we have to accept that we either know what it means or don't know what it means. But if we're getting a meaning in there that's derogatory, useless to us, then it's making our life hard. So if you wonder why the occult Satanism's making life hard, it's because everybody's putting energy in it, really. But it needs to be there. It needs to be there for us to be able to see something. To be able to see the difference between evil and trickery, maybe. The difference, you know, between ourselves and others. The fact that everybody, you know, like the 99% of people say that 99% of people are like greedy and would steal, but they wouldn't. So in that there's a contradiction. You know, look out for the contradictions. Look out for your own contradictions, you know. Because that's the way it works. They get us into, whoever they are, you know, the ancient wise ones who wrote the system have managed to get us arguing between each other and mostly with ourselves. You know, nobody can come to their own conclusions because we feel like it's a collective effort. But we have to give up that collective effort to find an individual effort. A collective is always made by a collectivist and followed by loyalists. There's nothing to agree on unless you agree with yourself. You know, you ask yourself maybe why do people like Miley Cyrus like do satanic rituals on stage? It's because she knows her position in life isn't to sit on that throne and play God. She can't play God, and she's already got millions of idols. And idolatry is one of the worst things. You know, when you idolise somebody else more than yourself. When you idolise somebody else more than the universe, or whatever you want to call it, at that point things are going wrong. So stars like Miley Cyrus, or any stars, are going to have to end or change their career so that their audience are kind of given back their free will, that they're not hypnotised by this idolatry. Now a lot of us see it and are shocked and, oh yeah, she's doing Satanism, pushing Satanism. I can't say that's not true, but at the end of the day, you know, when she's doing things that look sexy, maybe the children don't see through that evil eye. You know, granted, we could start a conversation about this, and that's maybe another good thing about what these celebrities are doing when they besmirch themselves or start following, you know, occult symbols and stuff. But at the end of the day, for me, I'd far rather she play the devil than pretend to be goddess. And I think in the big picture of things, when she has got the power of the system, call it God's power or call it government's power, I don't know how you see God, so I can't presume that. But if you was to say that, you know, the whole system is a power structure, that if anybody's got any access to it, it has to be controlled. Someone like Miley Cyrus could say the wrong thing to the whole world. So she wouldn't even have the chance in the beginning. So everything she's doing is like crafted around a bigger doctrine, not just about Miley Cyrus, not just about money. You know, profits are definitely what push the whole prophecy. You know, you can see it when all these like capitalists and people who are interested in just money, when they're so big, you know, so hard-headed to just simply move forward without regard to humanity, then it's obviously that it's all going off the edge of a cliff. You don't need to be an expert to work that out, that where greed ends up. So it's not really a prophecy, it's just a profit loss. Frank Zappa said it dead clearly, and I'll end this video with this little quote, paraquote. You know, when there's no more money to pay for the illusion, all of the stage show and everything gets taken down. the actors disappear, and there's just a blank wall behind it all. Alright, see you later. Thanks for watching. Cheerio.